But in my head, when I was panicking, is the years past, the main stage has been pretty spectacular. So going up against another rental company or another, like in front of your peers, that's intimidating. And especially when you're not used to this luxury furniture or furniture in general. I know we have like the signature, but something a little bit more elevated. I was like, can we pull this off? Welcome back, everyone, to the Special Event Rentals podcast. Today, we're going to dive into GoWest, what that is, and our role in it. I think we've been a part of it since it first started, and I wanted to kind of talk about the last GoWest and our hand in it and what we went through and what we executed for them, well, alongside them. So, Lars, can you tell us a little bit about what GoWest is?
Sure. So GoWest is Western Canada's premier event conference, or conference for event professionals. It's produced by Timewise, and I believe it's been happening since 2018. The original was at the River Cree Resort, and then it's been at the ECC, the Edmonton Convention Centre, for the last few years. And so they have partnered with different event professionals, and they bring in speakers, and it's been a great event every January.
Mm-hmm. And I love how it's been here in Edmonton since. Like, it doesn't travel. Maybe it will in the future, but it has been here in Edmonton, which has been, I think, great for us and them, but it's really great for our community.
Mm-hmm. And I think we're all proud of it, but also impressed by it. Like, I think they do such a fantastic job. And when comparing it to other conferences and other speakers, like, I feel like they just do a great job and keep it going. And I think that's impressive. And it's fun to have it right here in Edmonton.
And we can't say enough about Serge and the culinary team at the Edmonton Convention Centre.
Let's be
honest.
Food. That's what makes it.
And all the different stations, absolutely.
It's the icing on the cake.
I also think it's good for our community, our event industry. Edmonton, people fly in for this conference. We get to meet new people from all over Canada. And I think you're right. We take pride in it.
But I also think that we all learn things from it. And speaking of like the ECC, I learned so much of what they're capable of. And I think that, we do a lot of events there and we're there quite frequently, but to experience it as a guest and for them to kind of, host us and have us there, it just gave me such an understanding of, what they're actually capable of.
That's right. And our team loves to go. Like our sales team go every year, and we rotate them through, and they love it. They enjoy it. And I think they find it really beneficial.
Mm-hmm. It's a little treat for them, I feel. And it's great for them because they're a little bit of part of it, and then they get to go experience. So they also take a little bit of pride in it. So I think it's altogether just a great conference, but a great thing for our industry to kind of execute.
So let's talk about the actual event. So it starts off with like a social night. It's kind of a smaller event. I don't know.
It's sort of a welcome reception. That's the best
welcome reception.
The people that are in town early go. Yes. MPI does an event. ILEA does an event. Yeah. I think we went to 3 different events this past Sunday, 3 welcome receptions before we finally made it home. And no, it's a real conference. It's great. And then Monday is the main stage.
Monday, Tuesday are kind of the main.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think the focus on the Tuesday in the morning is the experiential hall. And so there are vendors and, different from around Canada that are there. But it's very interactive. Yeah. And so you can get a mimosa, you can get food, you can spin to win, you can listen in the speaker's lounge, which I spoke at this past year. So
there's kind of something for everyone.
Yeah, but it's crazy because it's a trade show. And to actually walk this trade show floor, it doesn't feel like a trade show. It is super elevated.
They
it
do
is
a great
cool.
job
it is,
at planning that, and
it gives you ideas of what you can have at a trade. Anyways,
they don't have fluorescent lights on.
No,
who would have thought of that?
No red carpet. Anyways, no pipe. Anyways, but I think it's pretty cool what they execute during that time. Let's dive into
the social event. We didn't talk about the social event. That's the big thing we want to talk about.
That is the big shebang. But what have we done for GoWest in the past? I think what we have done in the past is the social event, which is the send-off or the
It's the Monday. It's the Monday evening social event.
Yeah.
So yeah, after the first day of conference, it's sort of a mix and mingle. It's at the Edmonton Convention Centre, or it has been in the past, and yeah, just an opportunity to relax with fellow conference goers, I guess.
And what has been our role with that in the past?
Well, generally we partnered with Timewise to produce the event and sort of provide the rentals and the decor for that event.
So back to 2018. Remember they had the big igloo tent at River Cree?
That's right.
Was the tent flown in?
Yeah, the tent was brought in at that time from Montreal.
Was it just for the event, or was it here for something else?
No, it was brought in just for the event. I forget
crazy.
who sponsored it, but
And it was just for the social event, right? Or
yes,
was there other
I believe
things
it
that
was.
happened?
I think there was a few other smaller events that happened in it, but I think it was mostly for the social event.
That's crazy. And then we continued doing the social event, and I think we've worked with partners in the past. It was only one time it was at River Cree, right?
I think so.
And so at the ECC, we would normally work with a planner and we would execute the social event.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because we had to bring in everything right before, the day of, bring it all in and transform a space. I think it was in the foyer, right?
That's correct.
So why did last year we took on more? Why did we make that shift, Lars?
Because I thought it was a great idea. No, we
It
sort of
was.
had an idea.
I think it started from just a practical standpoint
right.
of, if we're going to sponsor this and we're going to do it, let's just do it. And I think when you're sponsoring it's nice when we're making the decisions in-house. And so I think that's where it started from. It's like, if we're going to be doing this, let's just do it. I think the other real thing is Kaitlyn loves this kind of thing. And I know you and I were on site that year. And I remember being like, let's just have Kaitlyn do this. Kaitlyn will have a heyday planning this event and executing it. And, we'll make special event rentals look great and we can all support her and be there and do it. But let's do that. And then I think that's where the conversation started. And
yeah, and then we had a concept where we have the AV companies do such an amazing job and set up it's such a big production for the main stage, and so we thought, let's use that same AV and that same, the multimedia and different things for the social event. It's an easy way to brand it, an easy way to theme it. You have all the screens, you have all the sound set up. So we thought, well, we can go from the main stage where everyone is seated as sort of in conference style seating, to flipping the room to the social event. And then, so we had the great idea, I think, and then we passed it off to Kaitlyn to do it.
Also, do you remember that we kind of started to back out?
We panicked. I panicked.
Yeah.
And when you guys told me that,
do you remember that?
Yeah, it was.
We're well, I was following her lead. And from the beginning, I'm like, because I feel like this type of event needs a lot of heart. You got to be invested in this and love it and want to make it happen, make it look good. So without Kaitlyn pouring her heart and soul into it, it's hard for that to be really great. So when Kaitlyn was like, oh gosh, I don't think we have enough stuff. I don't think we have the right stuff. What are we going to...
I think GoWest came at a great time. I think we just got in a beautiful line of furniture. But in my head, when I was panicking, is the years past, the main stage has been pretty spectacular. So going up against another rental company or another, in front of your peers, that's intimidating. And especially when you're not used to this luxury furniture or furniture in general. I know we have the signature, but something a little bit more elevated. I was like, can we pull this off?
Yeah.
Can we do it?
Because it went from being 1 or 2 trucks for the social event to being 4 or 5 trucks for this event, full of equipment.
And just for the listeners, the main stage was up in Hall, if anyone knows the ECC, the Edmonton Convention Centre, but the main stage is in Hall D, which is kind of on the main level of the ECC, and the social event was in the foyer downstairs. So we had to wait till on the main floor, all of those halls to close, and then we could kind of come in and flip this room into the social, where now we're utilizing the space a bit better, but we're putting a little bit more work in, to kind of
And just the
switch
logistics.
over and switch back, because not only do we have to switch it from main stage, we also have to switch it back.
And just to get to Hall D, which is upstairs, like it's just a whole other double, triple the hours required to get up there compared to downstairs.
And going back, the ECC is a beast. Like it has everything. It has a great loading dock, but there's lots of different vendors coming in, and it might not just be for GoWest. So yeah, I think it kind of sounded like a logistical nightmare, but maybe a nightmare we were willing to take on. I mean, we did take it on.
Well,
but,
and there was a bit of added complexity because we had an event for Kaitlyn, had done decor for an event for 1,200 people the night before. So we had an event in Hall D on Saturday night for 1,200 people. Mm-hmm. Then the next day we had to clean that room, clear all that out in the morning and through the night, bring in all the stuff for the main stage. Mm-hmm. Then we had to clear all that out Monday at noon to flip it to the social event. Yeah. And then we had to take the social event away and then flip it back to the main stage for Tuesday morning. Is that sort of everything?
Yeah, that's
and then haul it away Tuesday night? Is that?
And for the chamber ball, we only left one couch on site from the chamber ball. Like, so it wasn't like we couldn't utilize anything. It went from a gala to a conference. So there wasn't anything we could think of utilizing. Mm-hmm. So everything had to go. But yeah, I think
and it's a lot of stuff. Like, how many trucks was the chamber?
The chamber was probably about 3.
Yeah,
3
like
trucks.
this. We're not talking like a rolling tub of linen.
No, like, what did you say before, Lars, with all the trucks? How, events have evolved. It's not just
the complexity, but the size, or the size, but the complexity.
Your promise when you started working here, you could drop off on Thursday or Friday and pick up on Monday.
That's right. It actually was. Yeah, when I came from a catering background, and they said to me, "Oh, rentals are great. You deliver on Thursday and Friday, and you pick up on Monday. Like, you don't have to work weekends." Well, okay,
well, that has changed.
What did you learn from GoWest this year? Like, what were one of the big things that this was something that we caught beforehand, but with the flip, we needed some extra storage space to just get things on site and prepped for the tight time frame flip from the social, or from the main stage to the social event. So that was a game changer, that you had that all organized and figured out. But what were the big learning things? I guess one of the things I find interesting is, like, was it easier for us to flip the room versus just do another room? Because the big element of that was the AV, being able to utilize that. So it was less about workload on us, but is it harder? Is it easier? Is it just different?
I want to say it's more labor, but I think it's easier. Now, having executed it, I would say it is easier flipping the room than trying to reconfigure it, because I think you can get stuck a lot of times with just piles of things that you don't know where it's going and things grouped incorrectly. So I think kind of coming in the way we did it, it was easier, but it did take more hands. It did take more hands, and it did take more of thinking of everything prior.
It took more planning.
Yes.
The planning and
Absolutely.
that part of it is more, where maybe the other way there's more like delivery crew labor.
Right, because I feel like we weren't tripping over AV, we weren't tripping over people, because the AV was already all set up. Yeah. When I say tripping over, they're also tripping over us. So it was sort of, everything was set up already. The bones of the AV and the staging was set up. So it was more for us to flip, but it was just our team at one point, and so you're not worrying about, okay, can we set this up here now, or do we have to wait until they get the rigging up, or whatever the case might be.
Mm-hmm. When you're talking about this just brings a story. Do you guys remember when we were on site and there was a crystal chandelier hanging from the chamber ball the night before? Yes. And Arlene and Brent with Timewise, who put on the conference, they didn't want it for the actual conference, but they wanted it for the social party. So the AV company came and they bagged every one of those hanging crystals. They must have been 10 feet tall, and rigged it back up. And for the social event, it came down, and they undid all the baggies, and ta-da, there was a chandelier. Yeah.
But it was...
That was quite last minute. That wasn't... Yeah. It was thought out that was going to stay from the ECC, like from the chamber over to GoWest. But it didn't fit any of the vibes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
I feel like all of the people that were on site are quite adaptable is what I'm trying to say. I think when you have great vendors, we all work together, but we all just want the best for the actual show. So I thought that was pretty cool that they pivoted and they had a bunch of people to come and bag these little crystals and debag them.
Yeah, I think the layout for both was pretty amazing and was one of the things that the conference attendees liked the most. So Kaitlyn, why don't you talk to us a bit about the layout for the main stage, and then for the social event?
The social event.
The flip.
I want to answer Carolyn's question though about what I learned.
Oh.
And it may not be about what I learned, but it kind of pairs with what you just asked me. I learned that you can pair things. You can, when you're dealing with such a large scale, it doesn't all have to be nice and pretty and new and flashy. Taking the serpentine tables with spandex and putting, the beautiful couch in front of it, our luxe furniture, was a fantastic idea. And I think it really took off in we got so much great feedback from that. But
both the spandex and putting the banquet table behind the couch were brilliant ideas.
And so I learned, because you both know me, I like everything flashy or just like very
done.
And so that was tricky for me when I was planning it, trying to utilize our product, but not take all of SCR to the ECC. Why do we need to do that?
Right.
So using their banquet chairs and their tables and then incorporating all our furniture was a great idea, but I learned that you can do that with the right scale. And it can still look freaking good. Like, it looked so good. I'm getting chills right now talking about it, but anyways.
Well, and I think when the entire event is so done, when the AV is so good, the design, the floor plan, and you have all of these focal points and just from a realistic standpoint, I feel like, if people are going to hold an event like this, it's much more achievable to bring in pieces rather than the entire thing. So it's also just a realistic way, which is another thing that, there was so many ideas that came from that, and people, wanted to replicate, and we've done, and yeah.
So that's the one thing I guess I took away from was exactly that. The floor plan, I guess where I wanted to start was with our Collette couches. We have 6 of them. They're brand new to us. They're velvet. How do we incorporate these? And because it's curved, I came up with this idea of like a serpentine table and kind of this like kitchen island behind, and people could sit up and be comfortable, because at conferences we all know a good chair. You need a good chair, whether you don't want to be sitting in a folding or a ghost chair. You want something padded. You want something comfy. You want just comfort. So that's kind of where.
And it gave options.
Yeah.
So there was just regular seats. There was the cocktail tables. There was the nice couches, but there was a place to sit at a table. Yeah. So it gave people options. And I think as attending it, it's like depending on who you're listening to or depending on where you wanted to sit. Like sometimes there was a time where you wanted to be at a table, and other times it's nice to be on a comfy couch. Or maybe you're just popping in for a few minutes. You can stand at a cocktail table or perch at a chair.
Right. Yeah, and I think we should mention that that's the format of the conference, is they have 15-minute speakers or half-hour speakers that are sort of bang, 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 with no breaks. You can sort of excuse yourself, go out for a coffee, go use the restroom, come back in. So it was,
Yeah. And I remember another tricky thing is, because it's a conference and the stage is in front of you, is making sure that sight lines, they don't always have to be direct, but everyone in the conference should be enjoying a good view of the stage.
Yes.
Right.
So I remember calling you guys in and being like, hey, what are we thinking about here, where the cocktail tables are? Do you think, and we kind of brainstormed, just the positions of everything. But it's super important. I think it is important, and kind of back to what you said, you do need to have the drive or the heart to pour into something like that, because it's where everyone's going to sit.
And just back to the Collette couches, I think that the way that you used those and the way they ended up looking, that's thinking outside the box a little bit. Like, those are like big, beautiful, kind of posh couches that the style of them don't necessarily isn't something that you would think, oh, I'm going to use that at a conference.
Totally.
But how it was styled and done, it worked perfectly and looked so good.
And I remember I was so nervous. We'd done demos over in
Yes.
the other building of just like how the serpentine tables are going to work and what color they would be and does it look great with the couch. So even going into it, I was a little nervous that between this beautiful furniture and just like basic conference equipment, if it was going to mesh well. And I think it
did well.
did.
And another was branding, because we're partnering with GoWest and providing this at little or no cost. We wanted to make sure our name was out there, so we, trying to get our names on the pillows, putting our names on coffee tables, decorating the coffee tables, but doing it in a way that it wasn't like it was there and it was noticeable, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yes. But that was
too
also
much.
something that I've had clients be inspired by. Like, oh, I love the special event rentals pillows, because again, so many of these events are corporate events where they're wanting their names on there.
Right.
So I think the motivation was for us to have our names, but so many people we're servicing clients that want their names in places like that too. So I think that was just something that kind of came out of it, where we can be helpful with branding on cocktail tables and.
Yeah, I think branding, what I've learned over the years is super important, especially when you're pouring so much into it. So great idea on the pillows, Carolyn, branding those pillows. I think it was your idea.
I think it was.
And Lars signed off on the prints and
put, we rent for any event on it. This is why this is why we're so great. Everyone has their little pieces.
The pillows are
though?
great.
They
And
are
guess
great.
what? They've been used for multiple events that we have partnered
They
with.
have,
So
and-
there you go.
And Neil appreciates special event rentals we rent for any event.
That's right.
What we're getting at is Kaitlyn and I thought that it should just be the SER logo, and Lars just went ahead and put "We Rent for Any Event" on it because that's what who we
Because
are.
I knew it was the right thing to do.
Always.
Maybe in a couple years we'll upgrade them and we'll see how it goes without.
So yeah, that's how the floor plan came to be for the main stage. And then the trickiest part was trying to do a new floor plan
And utilize
same room,
some of the stuff.
utilize some of the stuff, but also create a whole different atmosphere for when the guests are coming back into the main stage, entering the social event, that it would be a
Wowie
whole
zowie.
new environment.
That's right. And you succeeded in that.
And
And I'm going to excuse myself. I have to leave.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to talk about the social event.
Okay,
great.
And the
great.
flip. So enjoy.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Lars had to take one of his dogs to the vet, so now he has returned. How was London?
London's fine. This is like a monthly trip. This
yes.
is not a surprise.
No, I know, but I just wanted to make sure she was okay
Yeah.
this time around.
Yeah, and everyone is super excited that I brought her in for the morning. People love her,
I know. Well,
even though she's a witch. But that's
a witch.
How often do you have to take your dogs to the vet?
Carolyn, I have paid for our vets hockey bells, kids bells, children's university, children's figure skating, children's who knows what.
For sure your dogs go to the vet more than my children go to the hospital.
Absolutely.
Doctor. Not Caitlin's, though.
No.
But
anyway,
totally.
back to the social event.
Yes.
Because I don't
Go to
want to
the
think
main
about
stage.
it.
The main stage. One thing we didn't actually talk about is how many people were in the space.
9,000.
Close. Very close. We sat, I think the furniture and like the floor plan sat about 350, and then the ECC brought in some other chairs. So I think it was all total around like 400.
Yeah, it'd be 450, I
450?
think. Closer to 450.
Yeah. So that's a lot of seats.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're doing a floor plan and you're using furniture, it's a hit or miss on how many people are going to sit together on a couch.
Right.
So as much as I think maybe four can sit on there, it's like, well, if someone sits off to the side and or you don't want to sit that close to someone because there's no arms or there's no wiggle room. So it could kind of
To account for some more.
Yeah.
But some people didn't mind jamming in.
know
I was
that-
surprised.
maybe they
Jason
just had
from
to jam in.
was really...
Well, there was a group there over there with Jason that they were I think there's 4 or 5 of them on the couch, and we were surprised because
But I think he was comfortable.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask him how his experience was.
Yeah.
Because I think I saw him there one session and was like, oh man, but then he was there again. So I think he was okay with it.
okay.
And I think people enjoyed each, like the sofas, but also the table and the chairs. And I have a question for both of you. What would you sit in? If you went into the space, would you go for a armchair, a lounge couch, or would you go for a table and a chair?
Depends who I can sit on the couch with. You know, if there's a seat.
If it was me.
Well, to be serious though, I liked the chairs. I liked the table and the chair. That was my preference. Because I liked having the table to like set your coffee down. And so that experience made me appreciate the whole classroom style that hotels do. Right. So just the tables with the chairs. I didn't love the cocktail tables and stools.
Yeah,
that was not a great.
But they were fun. They were fine for.
They were fine for
like when you were popping in and out, or just sort of standing quickly.
Did you ever sit on them for?
I think I did for just like probably for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But it was sort of if I came in late to a session or late to the main stage, I think I just sort of plopped myself down on a stool or stood at a cocktail table. Yeah. Mostly because I want somewhere to put my coffee, put my drink, put my snacks from the ECC, because there was never-ending snacks, which is great.
Which is why we like this event. So I didn't actually sit in a couch, but I like it for a change. Like, because we're talking 2 days.
Right.
And I think some speakers are just, you want to kind of just sit back and listen to. So again, I feel like I'd like having the option, you know, both for the visual and the look of it, but also as an attendee, it's nice to have some options.
Yeah. I think that.
What do you like?
I don't know. I think the Cassidy was in there, the Cassidy swivel chair. So maybe I'd sit there with some people. But I agree. I think I like the chair and the table, because if I was taking notes or something, I think it just is.
And the Cassidys were at the front, and you like to sit at the back and chit chat.
Yeah. Oh, wow. You know what? In
Who
high
does
school,
she
a lot of
chit-chat to? You, Lars?
Yeah, probably me.
It's taught, you know?
Probably me,
Carolyn,
probably
it is
you.
not
probably.
Lars. He's down the way, looking down at the table, being
Pretending like he's so well behaved.
So well behaved. But back to the stools, I think
old
we
and
could have
wise.
picked a different stool.
True. Old, for sure.
Old and wise?
We could have picked a different stool.
That's the only thing, is that the ghost stools were not, even if you were coming in and out, they weren't.
They're not.
If we were talking about comfort in the beginning of this, they weren't comfortable.
But
for any
let's
period of time.
remember this was a partnership, and all of the Simon stools with backs were going out to other events.
Totally.
So
I just want I think
But you're
everyone
right.
shared the same feedback
Have
about
a
the
back- have a
stool.
back.
Is we have stools for every event, and that stool maybe wasn't the best. It was what we had, and we could deliver,
And it looks
looked
good.
Yes. So, but
And it's nice because you can kind of move them around so easily, where it's not so easy to just like plunk a Simon wherever you need it. That's true. So they have their place.
absolutely.
But,
And they're like
Let's talk about the flip.
the flip.
Let's go into the flip.
So first of all, Kaitlyn and Carolyn were very organized, and the flip happened much faster, much smoother, and much easier than, and I think I basically just said the same thing 3 times, than I anticipated. I went in
100%,
expecting to be schlepping and sweaty and gross, and I mean, sure we did for 45 minutes or an hour, but we were done.
But let's talk about that. Like, why do you think it went so good? Like, I think the biggest reason is the planning. So there was such a plan in place. Like, you had everything meticulously organized and planned. But why else? Like,
We had
is that
storage
it?
space right in Hall D that had been arranged once going back to the planning and organizing. So that was a big part of it.
I think a big part of it was the planning, but I think the biggest part of the planning that made a huge difference was where the product was. I don't know. Yes, we had the storage space, but yes, we also were storing stuff downstairs that we organized in Hall A, B, and C. We organized all of that, and it went up in an organized fashion of what we needed. And then we had the storage spaces, and then we had our team behind it. So even though it was all, bodies helped.
Yeah.
The bodies,
absolutely.
like all
And
of us
just
being there.
having like so many experienced people on site.
Right.
Like, let's be honest, it doesn't happen every day where all of us are on site. Plus we had like all of our main drivers. Like, we had a lot of core people that would normally you might get 1 or 2, and you've had a dozen.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And and it's nice working with the ECC, because I think they get the scope of work. So they were they worked with us and not against us, and
Absolutely.
they understood why.
Yeah.
And it was a great time of year to do a conference. It wasn't busy, and it wasn't, we were trying to dance around all these different events, even though there was an event downstairs, I believe, a small one. But it was easy.
But
It
all
was
in all,
easier.
the flip happened quickly.
It happened quickly. I was sweating a little bit, though.
I
was moving that stuff
I was
around.
hot and bothered
and
for sure.
Yeah,
And then it was so hot in there. Remember that day was so hot?
Yes, I do.
It was
remember.
like unseasonably warm outside, and it was so hot.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it was because that's why the roof leaked. Like there was leaking. Remember on the roof?
Yes.
It was because it was unseasonably warm. That's right. I forgot about that.
It was like, I don't know how
Yeah.
warm. I don't
But it
want
was-
to,
yeah.
you know.
It was not
exaggerate.
January.
It was not regular January weather.
And so the setup for the social event was also a little different. We had it sort of centered around not a main stage, a little stage.
Which
Yeah,
was
well,
awesome.
yeah.
And I loved the dueling pianos. It was so fun.
Well, in years past, I don't think they've had really, or it hasn't been executed the way the last one was, where the entertainment was
The focus.
the focus. I think
and
it's
part
always
of the
been
design and like it was thought of as everything was. It wasn't just like make this look pretty. They're coming in.
No, I think and I think it's important that you had that visual, but also the entertainment to go along with it,
Yes.
because it's hard to achieve both. And I think in years past, the entertainment has been DJs, and they've been off to the side and maybe not as recognized. Where this time it was the dueling pianos, and you came in and it was such a great feel, and they did a great job.
Yeah.
The dueling pianos out of Calgary. What was the company?
Pat McGavigan, and I forget the company's name, his company, but yeah, he does a great
he
job.
rolled
Oh, yeah,
in,
it was
and they
great.
were great, and they
They
did,
were so good.
It was a blast, and the hanging chandelier was right above them,
Right.
Yep.
and then surrounding them was all lounge furniture and cocktail tables. I think what really made that event was the lamps.
Yeah, the lamps were awesome.
I think they contributed a huge
Do you
something.
think,
Yes.
Do you think that there was a lot of space? Do you think it could have been like a bit more crowded in there?
No, because
Like I thought it was fine,
Right.
But I feel like I don't know, another event I'm working on. It's like they're so concerned that there's not it's too big and airy, and I feel like that it wasn't packed in there.
It wasn't packed in there, but I mean, from just the floor plan standpoint, the furniture and cocktail tables were spread throughout. So I think we had a really good flow, so it made it feel not
Yep.
as busy, which is nice.
So
it still
nice.
looked full, but you could still find a cocktail table to rest your drink on when you were taking a bite of food, and there was room around every station, and the bar was big enough that no one was really waiting in line. So I think the floor plan played a big part of why it wasn't so.
I
didn't
feel like
feel
it
as
could have
busy.
accommodated more people, though.
Oh,
100%.
absolutely.
Yes.
Just as I think the bar would be the only tight spot.
I agree.
But yeah, you could have had a lot more people just with
Yeah.
what was
But I think
there.
the floor plan was designed to fill the space because we had the space. It was already being used, or it was already sort of
And
set
whatever
in
we blocked
place.
it off with, we had to take it down.
Yeah,
So-
basically. So it was like, okay, well, let's do this. Because I think there was a little bit of room between the food stations and the
Yes.
exterior walls, which was, and then, going in, then we had the rows of cocktail tables. Then in the middle, we had the stage with the 4 cubes of furniture, and our partner Fabulosity, who always does an amazing job, came in and did some floral or some
They
greenery.
always make
They-
us look good.
They do.
They do. But you know what's crazy about Fabulosity is that they took one of our oldest ficus trees upstairs
I know.
that I picked and pulled for just height, and they just came and they filled it with just real floral, and that became like
Those
that
old trees are
BC
some
feel.
of Lars's favorite things.
They are.
Whenever-
Those.
You're going to be starting to take those for your
Quiz,
home parties
quiz,
soon.
quiz
I'm
time.
going to.
How many different styles of ficus trees do we have?
Oh, I don't know, 6 maybe.
6. And how many do you think we have?
Oh, I would say in total of, are you talking about all our silk or fake trees?
Not
or
all, just the ficus.
Oh, ficus.
Do you know the answer?
I would say of the ficus trees, we probably have 36.
Okay, everyone, you hear those answers. Next time we're live with these two, we're going to go and we'll tell you the results.
Well, now I'm going
I
to lower
think
my...
it's like 17.
Oh, maybe.
We only have 17. I think there's 4 styles.
Okay.
I think we might have 17 in total.
Oh, with all the ficus.
Yeah.
How many
Maybe.
silk?
36 is a lot of trees.
That's true.
But I'll give you some credit. I feel like there are some styles that look like the ficus
Right.
that are not called ficus.
That's right.
So,
Like the olive, which are not the new olive, sorry, but the
new
old olive.
Yeah.
Because they're the same height, they're all so tall. Anyway, we're getting into the weeds here with ficus trees. So
we're going to
Social
have a
event.
whole new episode on silk plants. Okay, back to the social event.
But speaking of social event and Fabulosity,
Yes.
the year that Fabulosity did it with Site 6 was like a whole other league.
Carolyn.
Did you attend that?
no, I
Lars?
was away.
That was
You've heard me talk about it.
Yeah.
I still talk. I mean, it's years and years ago.
Yeah.
It
I mean,
was
they
remarkable.
set a bar.
It would have been 2019.
Yeah.
I believe.
It was remarkable.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They had these boxes where you could like see in and you could see this whole different world and you could hear things and there was smell.
Everything about it.
Everything about it. We need Janine from Fabulosity and Karen from Site 6. We need you on here to talk about GoWest and the year that you did it.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is your invite. So yeah, that was a crazy year. That was
Yeah.
a great year.
Yeah.
Times have changed.
They had
Now we have dueling piano.
dancers
Yeah.
and-
It was
But I
crazy.
think part of the evolution with a conference is it needs to be sustainable, right? And so I think Brent and
Arlene.
Brent and Arlene from Timewise are working to do that. And I think, and that was one of the focuses with the flip when we sort of suggested it, not realizing maybe how much work it would be for our team and us, was that it made it more sustainable in the sense that we're using, like we talked about earlier, we're using the same AV, we're using some of the same decor and some of the same pieces. So we're not bringing in as much stuff. I mean, it ended up being trucks and trucks, but still, it was just like, okay, how do we do this, flip it? And we're working with event professionals who produce and plan events all the time. And so we wanted something a little different, but really the main focus is socializing and networking. And so providing them an opportunity and a place and a way for them to do that. So
it's crazy the amount of great feedback we got from the social event, but more importantly, the main stage. I think that we set a new trend for like what a conference is, like with the sofas and just seating. I think we did a good job.
yeah.
What
We
were
did a good
you
job.
most proud of, Kaitlyn? Aside from the lamps,
Loved the lamps.
what were you most proud of?
I think main stage.
Yeah.
I think main stage came together really, really great, and it was a good team. I mean, it was a lot of decision making and a lot of answers that I didn't get because there's so many people involved, and there's a bigger picture of like timing and who's on stage, all of these things. But that's what I'm most proud of. I think we really executed it well.
Yep.
For special event rentals, but for the conference
Yep.
as well. And I think we did, I think very proud of it. Very proud of it, considering I was really nervous going into it. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, we were ready to almost pull the plug and just
We were.
put classroom tables in.
Carolyn was,
I was ready to pull
Carolyn
the
was
plug.
dialing Arlene's number.
I told her. No, I sent an email.
Oh,
Said
yeah, you
we're going to
did.
back out. Well, because it's supposed to be fun and it's
Yes.
supposed to be good. And so if you're not inspired and feeling like we're going to do this and it's going to be great, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think you came around.
Yeah. I came around.
I was backing out though. I
Yeah.
think you guys were like, no, we
Well-
said yes. I'm like, 2 days ago we said yes. Like, people aren't checking
yes.
in right now. Like, it's not like
Oh,
we're-
I was thinking it was closer to the event we were getting nervous, but that was a different type.
No, this
different
was
type
right
of
when you
nervous.
guys
Oh.
agreed. I got nervous.
So
and
we
Kate-
had agreed because we had talked about it.
You and I
Kate-
met with Arlene.
Then Kaitlyn came back. We shared it with her. She didn't share the enthusiasm that I was anticipating. And then when she didn't, I was like, well, let's.
pull it. And then when you were like, let's pull, and I was like, okay, I'll think of something.
I think actually Arlene, because I had said, we're just feeling like it's maybe not quite right for us.
Right.
And she's like, well, it's supposed to be different. Like, you're not supposed to do. Anyways, it all worked out. And I mean, it was a big deal for you, Kaitlyn. It was a big deal for all of us,
Yeah.
but it was a big deal for you.
Yeah, it was a great project to work on, and
But
I
think,
felt very accomplished after it.
yeah, and I think we learned things which we've been able to take into other events.
Yep.
You did a conference for a corporate client here in Edmonton that had attended the event and said, I want to do this. I think there was one or two others after that.
Yeah.
But within a week or two of GoWest,
Yeah.
I know that there were 2 or 3 emails sent to like the generic info@ email for clients wanting something like this.
Yeah.
And
Switching it up.
and we learned, and I think you probably tweaked it a little bit and changed things a little bit. And
But yeah, I think we maybe touched on this, but I feel like it really inspired people. Like,
Yeah.
it was just something different. It was such a good mix. And yeah, so I think people, took away elements that they could use for their own events, which is awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's a great feeling. Like when people I don't know, like your ideas or want to use them or incorporate them. I think that is
Yeah.
a really nice way of.
Flattery is no. What is it?
The most
The
Something copying
the
is the most
best form of
sincere
flattery-
form of flattery, but not copying anyway. Imitation.
Yes.
something like
Anyway,
that. I feel like I
we'll
know
have to
it.
get
I
our
just
like our
said it.
sayings right before. Carolyn, what was the thing you liked the most about it besides you and I liking the food?
Oh, I love the food.
The food was awesome, guys.
It always is.
Always is. And just like, even there was like tater tots there that tasted good. And like the year before, but like there was all
Yeah,
these
no,
like,
I
little
know.
like comfort foods
I
that
know,
were just
I know.
like
The
Year
elevated and
before
great.
was even better but I think they had to scale back because too many people were just hanging out by the food.
Yeah.
I don't know who that would have been, but
Yeah. I mean, why
so the year
wouldn't you?
before was even better, but
Yeah.
it's still great.
It's amazing.
It was amazing.
Serge and his team do an amazing job at the
Yeah.
ECC, and I think that was one of the things that at GoWest does is gives us an insight into what event professionals in Edmonton and Western Canada can and do.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm kind of repeating myself, but the thing that I loved the most was the banquet. So either the banquet tables or the SERP tables behind the couch with the chair behind that. That little thing was brilliant. And that is the piece that's been used in different ways for different events. You've carried that on. I've used that for a couple of things. So that little design was brilliant. So I loved that. I mean, I think just the overall feel, like it just felt bopping and good and professional and just something that, yeah, you see at any of the top conferences, if not better than a lot of the things you see. So I just felt proud of Edmonton, proud of the conference, proud of SCR. And yeah, there was one other thing I was going to say, but
Well, I'll go share mine. Maybe you can have.
Okay.
But I think mine was the flip. I loved the idea of the flip, and I liked sort of the attendees having the experience of being in the same room with two different looks.
I'm coming back
And coming back to it, and then coming back to it again,
Totally.
like
and
flipping
experiencing it again. Totally.
because I feel like that really reinforced it. So I like the flip, and then being able to use the AV for I
Yeah.
believe it was Tourism BC or the British Columbia Tourism or Regions sponsored the social event, and so they were able to use the massive screens. And I think we had a sort of Kaitlyn to come up with like a Northern Light theme, and so they were like the Northern Lights, and that one with the colors and the themes on the on the
I
tables and
also
stuff.
loved the tunnel. I think that was Production World's tunnel.
Yeah, Production World did a great job with the AV. They did the AV, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And is his name Kelly?
Yeah,
Yep.
Kelly is one of the Kelly and John. Yeah,
Easy to work with, and the tunnel was great. And the tunnel was actually if we go back to the very beginning of this at Chamber Ball, that was also with Chamber Ball, and they kept it. And I love that they kept it because I don't think many people know that they can even have that
right.
in our industry. So I think that was really cool. Yeah. Something that also was just permanent in the space for the two events, but different.
But I will put in a plug for GoWest. I mean, we have been putting a plug in for GoWest, but we attend conferences, and we've attended event conferences. The rental show, the special event years ago, and Cater Source and other things. And I would say that GoWest is on par with any of those conferences. They do an amazing job, much better, especially on the food and beverage and hospitality portion, where that's what I think people in the event industry love is the mix and mingle, the socializing, the networking. And so I would say that, they do Brent and Arlene at Timewise and their team do an amazing job with that.
Yeah, and I think everyone that attends comes away like they're inspired, whether it's by the food or the breakout rooms or the main stage, they're inspired. And I think they do it really well. I think, and all of their vendors, obviously, and the support that they get, they also, they come and they want it to be just as good as
Well, and I think
anyone
there's
else
a lot
does
of
there.
things that are better, like you touched on. But like the way the trade show is, the way the main stage and just the formatting of that, and just like the design and the look and the feel of it all, like it's very well done.
Yeah, and even a lot of work put into the lobby, with the decor there, and also just different activations in the lobby when you arrive.
Yeah,
Which is-
that was
and
awesome.
registration.
which is also so fun. I know it's, we have healthy competition out there, but it's great to see what they're up to and what they have and to connect with them because they can relate to us. And I think, it was great to see. It was good to see everyone coming together and,
They
executing
did a
this.
great job in the lobby. But again, it just elevates everything.
Yep.
It's like you walk in and the lobby was great and this is great and it just continues.
It just keeps going. It just keeps going. Well, I think that we're going to have to share some photos of GoWest on our social media from the social event. I know we have a reel, so maybe we'll repost that. But thank you guys so much for doing this case study with me. And
thanks for tuning into the Special Event Rentals podcast. Here, you'll find exclusive interviews, expert tips, and behind-the-scenes insights, diving into the dynamic world of event rentals and planning. Enjoy! Subscribe to never miss an episode